All right, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and League of Legends lovers, welcome back. Welcome back to another patch notes review by yours truly, the genius of League of Legends, Chris Allen. That's me. Anyway, today we're here to review and react to patch 13.4. This is the mid-season update. And what does that mean? That means my already busy ass, who's behind on everything he has to do, is gonna get further behind because this shit is gonna probably be extremely long. Just judging by the little scroll tick right here on the side and how far down that's going when we scroll, I can already tell that this is going to take us probably at least an hour. So I'm going to try my best to go quick, but I've also heard that this patch addresses ADCs, and when ADCs are involved, I usually can't stop myself from talking. So, hopefully they're good changes and not bad changes, because Riot has a track record. But without further ado, let us hurry up and get through this week's patch notes, which is the mid-season update, which is very important. So, in this mid-season update, we're aiming to address a few core issues with League's current state. If they do not say the state of the bot lane is an issue, we have an issue. Why is that? This is something I repeat very often in my streams at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel, where I do these live, where you can come and watch me do these live, and in past videos as well. The state of the bot lane in League is, and this is not just the bot lane, Riot has actually like made this almost every lane. They've made it jungle, they've made it top, they've made it mid. It all started with champions like Set. Set is a champion who could go almost any lane, any role. He could go jungle, he could go mid, he could go top. He was released as a top laner, he could go anywhere. Hell, he can even go support and ADC if you're really feeling it. Now, the state of the bot lane has become one where you can literally do whatever the fuck you want down there. Now, back in the day, if you went something non-traditional, if you went something that's not an ADC or not like an actual support, you used to get beat up for doing that. Nowadays, because Riot's game is like dying or whatever, and they're like, oh, you like your favorite champion, but the game's getting boring for you. Oh, how about you play them jungle? Oh, just take them into the bot lane. You could have fun with them there. They essentially let a lot more people do a lot more things freely, and I feel like it's eroding the champion distinction and the role distinction for that matter too. So hopefully they address that, if not for every other role, at least for the bot lane, because the bot lane gets it the worst. A lot of the times what ends up happening, and I've talked about this a lot, is in the bot lane, instead of ADCs going there, it'll be some bitch-ass mage as the ADC or as the support. I mean, now we have Heimer support, and that's not considered a troll. And then we have, like, ADC Cassio, ADC Heimer, ADC Lux, ADC Ziggs, which has always kind of been a thing, but it's now more commonplace. You don't need a mage, or you don't need an ADC in the bot lane anymore. You just put whatever the fuck you want down there. So hopefully they rectify that. Hopefully they make crit traditional ADC stronger. And in doing that, not only do they have to buff ADC, but they have to change support too. They have to make engaged supports more viable and more fun to play. I don't know how they're not fun to play. It's because they're not good. Just buff them, honestly. Just buff them. But anyway, yeah, Mage bot lane has been a thing, Rodriguez. It's fucking rampant and it's disgusting. Like, you're not... If you don't see an ADC in the bot lane, it's not a strange occurrence anymore. Like, that's like somewhat normal now to not see an ADC go down there. And they can't go anywhere else. So it's not like every other character like Set or Maokai or whatever where they can go wherever they want. It's, okay, they can't go bot, you can't play them at all. But every other character, oh, Zed, oh, go in jungle, go in mid, go in wherever you want. You know, like, it's ridiculous. It's so stupid. Oh, Garen, go Garen jungle. Darius, go Darius jungle. Yorick, jungle. Mord, jungle. It's like, bro, everyone can go in the jungle, and then if you don't want to take them jungle, take them bot. But it's not vice versa. It's so stupid. Anyway, the tank meta will resurge again. Yeah, and they tried to resurge the tank meta already with their whole, like, not mid-season, with the whole new season items. They tried to resurge tanks, and tanks didn't even work. It was just bruisers and other people abusing the items, like bruisers and fighters. So the whole tank resurgence, they tried it and it failed. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. So, They're going to do ADC and support itemization options. Good. Problematic assassin items. I don't really think there's problematic assassin items, but whatever. And how the early game is played out. We also have a batch of ARAM adjustments, a mythic shop rotation, and some new Snow Moon skins, which I believe is in the same universe as Blood Moon, but I'm not sure. So without further ado, here's your mid-season patch. Anyway, we're going to go over the skins at the end, and also there's a patch delay. This patch is going to be a day later than usual. Honestly, for me, that's fine because I'm getting more into TFT and ARAM, so it doesn't matter to me. And, you know, even though there are ADC changes in here, we're going to see how good they are. So I don't mind waiting for this. Anyway, Akshan, Callista, Kindred, and Vayne. What am I reading here? What am I reading here? Oh no. Are getting brand new AP ratios added in this patch because they might buy Jinsos Rageblade. Okay. Akshan, I can see buying it. Callista, I can see buying it. Kindred should not buy it. Vayne obviously buys it. So Jinsos is getting its AP back. Back in the day, Jinsos used to have AP and they took it out. They made it a purely ADC item, which, you know, Jinsos should not be bought by mages. So I don't know why it had AP to begin with, but if you have an item that's on hit, unless they're making on hit mages, which they're not, like there's very, very few mages that are on hit, maybe like Gwen, and even then, Gwen is like only the one I can really think of that comes to mind. Maybe Diana as well, because she builds Nashers. But the whole idea of Jinsos didn't make sense because it was a ghost proc, but you had it on people who built AP that didn't have anything to proc it off of. It was so stupid. So weird. And yeah, I did disable the redeem sound stuff. This is supposed to be an important type, Rodriguez. An important time for introspection and genius activity. Anyway, these new ratios aren't meant to make AP build strong or even viable on them, thank God. Now, here's where I don't trust Riot. They say they don't want them to build AP, but people are going to build them AP. Let's be real. We're going to see a new fucking, like, Red Mercy video or a new Pansar Dragon video. Oh, full AP Vayne destroys? Meanwhile, he's playing in normal games and he's, like, smurfing, so. Anyway, these new ratios aren't meant to make AP builds strong or even viable on them, but instead to make incidental sources of AP, like Rageblade or Baron, feel like they aren't wasted, which shouldn't be the case. ADCs build AD. They should not benefit off AP. Anyway, typically a small utility output and a repeatable source of damage were targeted for each of these champions, which is meant to give AP a unique benefit that AD cannot provide. So I'm actually very curious. If they make the AP ratio scale into Vayne's true damage, I'll be shocked. For Callista, I honestly, it has to be the E. If they don't put it on the E, they're going to put it on the W. They can't put it on the Q. And then they're not, you know, the ult doesn't do damage, so. I'm very curious to see what they're going to put it on with Akshan. It has to be his 3-hit passive. But anyway, let's see. Passive AP ratio added to damage shield, decreased Q AP ratio added to bonus movement speed. Akshan is the first of a few champions who fit two criterias. He might buy Jinso's Rageblade, so already he would buy it before this change, and now it has AP on it, and he has no AP ratios. These shiny new AP ratios should make Akshan feel like he's getting useful benefits when he's picking up Jinso so that the AP isn't entirely lost. So, this goes back to what I said in the beginning. League's game is dying, and they're trying to make everything just more broad, more open, and they're really just, how do you say it? They're dissolving, like, champion identity and champion role diversity. I honestly think that. Because now, think about this. Okay, we have champions who only go into one role and one lane. They got rid of that. You could go them jungle, you could go them bot lane. They got rid of the role requirement and the lane requirement. You don't need to go them in this lane, in this role. You could take them elsewhere. Now they're getting rid of the item requirement. Like, okay, ADCs build AD. Again, they say they don't want to make it viable, but I very much question. There's going to be some cheese. There's going to be some cheese that comes out that, right, you know, didn't expect or didn't intend, or it's too strong because they don't play test their game or they don't listen. And it's going to need to get nerfed, and the fact that it exists just perverts this game even more. I'm very scared with these. I haven't even seen the ratios yet, but this already sounds really scary, and it doesn't sound right. Like, why are you adding AP ratios to ADs? It makes no sense. Why further encourage the trolls of this game? But anyway, let's see how bad they're doing it. So, magic damage on the third stack is now a 60% AP ratio. Are you telling me with a 60% AD ratio, people are not going to build this guy AP? Are they dumb? Are they really dumb? Like, bro. The shield value now scales linearly, or it used to scale linearly. Now it's non-linear, which means it's less than the early game. So it's a little bit of nerf. And then the Q move speed is going up by 5% per 100 AP. So this is what doesn't make sense to me. They say they don't want AP to be viable, right? Now, obviously, the 60% ratio on his passive, you do have to hit them 3 times for that. But the 5% per 100 AP, if you're only getting small amounts of AP, I don't know how much Jinsos gives you, right? I doubt it's 100. It's not going to give you 100 AP. At most, it might give you like 30 or maybe 40. Maybe 30 to 40 AP, right? At that point, how much extra move speed are you getting from this? What? 2%? 2.5%? Not even. It's like, what is this for? This is just nonsense. It's encouraging people to troll. But overall, we have to see how they play out. So this could be good. I mean, again, the passive buff is like, Jesus Christ, 60%. If nothing else, if you get Baron, you're going to be doing more damage now, you know, on both fronts, on AP and on AD. So I fully expect people to go AP with this, though. And they're going to troll because Akshan isn't even good with AD, let alone AP. So anyway, there's that. That's a little scary. Callista. EAP ratio added to flow and damage. Okay, so to the slow, that's important. To the damage, that's important too. I knew it was going to be to the E. So, Callista is the second champion in this patch who has no AP ratios, but is likely to buy Rage Blade. The numbers are relatively conservative, so the AP focus build isn't going to be that strong, and it shouldn't be. But at least the Amplifying Tome is a real item for her. If you ever build Amp Tone on Callista, I should fucking report you. Like, what are you doing? Unless it builds into Jinsos. Unless that's the case. So, how much are they adding? So, the slow is 5%, or yeah, 5% per 100 AP. That's fine. And then it's getting a 20% AP ratio. Dear fucking Lord. See, like, this better be the case where, like, it's only from Jinsos. I feel like this is something Riot has done that can very easily spiral out of control. There's what Riot says they want, which is, hey, you know, we see these people are buying Jinsos. We're going to add AP only to Jinsos, and we're going to have them scale off of it a little bit just to help them out. Why they're adding AP to Jinsos, I don't know. Hopefully they'll explain it, and it'll make sense to me, but so far, this is not making sense. It is a buff, but it's a buff veiled with, like, uncertainty, because this could be a nerf, because people might build these fucks AP, which is not good. So, Kindred is the third champion to receive an AP ratio buff. Lamb doesn't tend to buy this item very often, but at least Wolf's abilities will feel a bit more powerful. So, now you're getting, let's see, another 20% AP ratio, cool. And then the slow is 5% per 100 AP. So it's pretty cookie cutter paste, copy and paste stuff here. So I'm not going to repeat myself. Same thing with Kindred. So that's that. Nico. So this is an interesting thing. So the Nico rework went out, and I've seen a lot of memes on it, and I've seen a lot of people having fun, which is good. I think overall they improved Nico. I think the best thing to improve Nico, as I always say, is just switch her and Silas's ult. It makes sense thematically, it makes sense lore-wise, it makes sense kit-wise. I don't know why they just don't do it. But anyway, even if they're not going to do it, I think they actually did help Nico out a good bit here, especially with her ult change, and just her general fun and, you know, thematic of she's a chameleon, she's going to fool you, way more than LeBlanc ever could. And I think they actually did good on that. Now, that being said, I have not seen a Nico in any of my games. I honestly have not. Now, granted, I've been playing more TFT, I've been playing more ARAM. I still have been playing ranked, as bad as it is. But I have not been seeing Nico a lot. Does this mean she's bad? I don't know. Does it mean she's good? I don't know. I can assume, honestly, that, like, she must be frustrating to go against, because, like, if you can disguise yourself as a Krug, right? And the jungler comes, they're low health after a fight, they're like, okay, let me just get Krugs, let me get an item. And then you're just sitting as the Krug licking your lips as they're coming to you with 1 health. You know, the enemy's going to get angry. She's a character that can easily make the enemy angry and tilt, which is good unless you're on the receiving side of it. So honestly, I don't know anything about Nico. I feel like generally they did a good job with her like mini rework. I think it's good. It's just I don't know how it landed because I haven't seen it. I really just haven't seen it. So let's see what they're doing. So Q damage to monsters increased, W damage to monsters increased, RAP ratios increased. So it looks like the R was a little weaker after all, even though they they made it more reliable to land, it still seems too weak. So honestly that's fine. So let's see what they're doing. So like I said before, champion roles are getting dissolved and everyone could go everywhere because the game is becoming more unskilled and more casual. So let's see how bad it is for Nico. Nico Jungle has seen a lot of play post rework, but sits at the worst regularly played role / champion combo in the game. Well, good, because she shouldn't be going jungle. So anyway, we're bumping up her clear speed a bit more to give Nico jungle players a fair shot. See, the only reason I can see why you would go Nico jungle is because you'd want to go do a lane gank, turn into a minion to do it, and then catch the enemy off guard. That is honestly one of the few things I could think of why you would go jungle Nico, because if you turn into a monster or a crab or anything, and you're going in for a gank, someone's going to notice, a jungle monster should not be running at me in lane. So, it's going to be pretty obvious at that point. But anyway, it's likely we'll have to reassess her jungle power as players adapt to jungle Nico, so we'll keep an eye on this tomato. On another note, we're also putting a bit more power back into Nico'S R'S Burst, now that we've seen the spell on live. Overall, the reliability of the new ultimate is looking good, but the nerfs overshot it, and now they're compensating. Cool. So, the Q damage is going up by a decent amount, not bad, 30 to 35 early, 70 to 95 later on, that's not bad. Because you gotta remember, that hits 3 times. And then her W bonus damage to monsters is going up to 75. That's pretty good. That's every 3rd auto, I believe. And then her Pop Blossom is gaining literally just 20% damage, which is actually more than I thought they would give her. I thought they would give her 15. They gave her 20. Nico's getting some nice buffs. Very nice. So, Vayne. QAP ratio added. I'm actually very surprised, that they're not adding it on to the W. But granted, I'm not too shocked because the W is the crux of her ability, or of her kit rather. And if you overbuff that, Vayne's too good. And if Vayne's too good, they don't like that. So AP Vayne is not real. AP Vayne cannot hurt you. Not as much as AD Vayne anyway. Once again, the AP ratio on Tumble is just here to make Rage Blade stats not feel wasted. See, this makes me believe it, right? Like, it's a 50% AP ratio, but it's on an auto, and it's an auto you can do every so often. So it's like building AP Vayne just to get worth out of one auto. I could still see people making YouTube videos on it, like, oh, look at me, Lich Bane, Rabadon's, Jinsos, one shot, one auto Vayne. I could see it, but it's really not going to be good. It honestly will not be as good as AD. Granted, it is for a different type of playstyle, right? You're going to be a poking Vayne, not an all-in engage Vayne, right? Because Vayne right now, she's a tank buster all-in engage. She wants to fight you for extended periods of time to kill you. AP Vayne is more of a poke Vayne, which I never thought I would see the day of that, but here it is. But, we'll see how it plays out. I'm just going to keep saying that. We'll see how it plays out. This is good, though. Of all the changes they showed with AP ratios getting added to ADs, this one is like the one I like the most. So, anyway. Critical strike item changes. Oh, good lord, let's see what they're doing. So, this is a big thing where I think they took a step in the right direction, where they made ADCs be able to build crit second item, and by crit I mean IE. They basically allowed ADCs to get online one item sooner, because the games were lasting too short, and ADCs take too long to ramp up. And because of that, that's why mages came in, because you can actually have fun with the game and not have to wait 30 minutes for the game to be over and you not to even get to your power spike and fantasy. So they somewhat fixed that, but the main thing is, if you look way back, when I was an old man at League of Legends, right, in Season 4 and stuff, crit damage used to be way higher than it is now. Now crit damage is still pretty good, but again, you could take a mage and do similar things. And crit ADC takes too long to go. Their glass cannons, A lot of them have to get into the action. You need to be very mechanically gifted to play them, like I am. So it's a lot of like, why would you do it? Why would you do all this work and effort when you could do it on someone else, namely a mage, for a lot easier and have a lot more fun? ADC just isn't fun. You don't get help from your team, you get one shot by everything, and you take too long to get going. They alleviated one of those problems. Now, the other thing they could do, which I'm hoping they're going to do here, is just straight up increase crit damage. Like, crit damage has been nerfed throughout the time. It used to be 250% from Infinity Edge. Now I believe it's somewhere along the ballpark of 210. So we lost like 40% of our damage. I believe the math is correct there, 40%. But I think they should just give some more like crit damage back. But let's see what they're gonna do. We've got a big update to crit itemization with the hope of creating a much more open ecosystem of crit items players are excited to buy. So another little critique I have of the bot lane is, unlike with other roles, you really do have, and other, some characters do break this mold, but you really have a set standard cookie cutter build for ADC that almost never changes except at the end, and you barely ever get to the end because, again, games don't last long enough. So what is this cookie cutter build? On most ADCs, you're going to go your Mythic, which is, one of the three, Gale Force, stupid Blood one, and then Kraken Slayer. Then you're going to go IE, then you're going to go Zeal Item, then you're probably going to go Penetration, and last you're either going to go BT, maybe GA, or some other stuff. There's not really much variance in the build, so hopefully that's something they fix here. Currently, League of Legends functionally has two sets of Critical Strike Mythic items. Kraken, Gale Force, Shield Bow, and Infinity Edge, Quick Blades, Rage Blade. Quick Blades I feel like is kind of stupid, whatever. Ultimately, we feel that Infinity Edge, Quick Blades, Rage Blade, and Gale Force actually fit the role of a mythic item the best, so the other items are being demoted to legendary and retuned to fit that new role. Wait a minute. They don't feel like Kraken Slayer is worthy of a mythic. That's crazy. I'm shocked. The whole reason Galeforth fits into the mythic though is because of the active, honestly. The active is so useful and they've nerfed it so many times, but giving move speed to ADCs who are typically immobile and giving it like an execute damage, so not only can you use it to get away, you can use it to help secure kills. Like, it's such a good item. It's such a good item. See, that's an item where you feel the difference. Kraken Slayer, you don't feel the difference. Even though there is a difference there, you don't feel it. And then why would you pick Kraken above move speed or lifesteal? Fuck, I forgot what it's called. It's not called Bloodthirster because that's the item. Shield Bow. It's called Shield Bow. So, I mean, they literally said it before. Immortal Shield Bow is another item where it's like, you don't really notice the effect, although it is helpful. Right? It's similar to Kraken. I feel like you don't notice Kraken. You don't feel very strong when you get Kraken. You don't feel very strong when you get Shield Bow, although you do notice it, I think, more than Kraken. And you feel very strong when you get Gale Force because you notice it, because one, it's an active, and two, look what it fucking does. So while I don't necessarily disagree with their reasoning of, oh, they don't feel strong, I disagree with them demoting them to legendaries. I want to see if they're going to add new mythics, which, spoiler alert, I heard they're adding Static Shock, or not Static Shock, fuck, Static Shiv back into the game, which if that's a mythic, I'm going to be very excited. I'm going to be very excited. But let's see what's going on. So they're getting retuned, sure. The new mythic items are quite similar to the old versions as they already serve their purpose well, with a notable change in Rage Blade more strongly filling the hybrid on-hit niche, which should make champions like Kale and Teemo pay attention. So that's another important thing. Even though I said this before, I'm going to amend it a little bit. Jinsos mostly is built by ADs, but there's other people who build AP that do use it, right? You can make an argument for Diana using it, although I wouldn't. Kale obviously uses it. Teemo, I don't think should use it, but can make the argument. But some AP people do use it, so I guess they're trying to make it not an AD only item, even though that's what it should have been. But honestly, I'm all for change because at the end of the day, if the game stays too stale, it's fine. But I don't know. Either Riot has lost my confidence with the changes they make, or the changes just don't make sense and they don't describe them. But this one I kind of understand. As much flack as I've given them for this, and as much fear as I have for it going wrong, I will give them a little bit of the benefit here. To maybe this will, like, be okay. Anyway, the legendary rebalancing brings down some overly strong items such as Kraken Slayer losing its true damage. At that point, what the fuck is Kraken Slayer even for? Immortal Shield Bow providing less shielding, so it's not even losing it, it's just less. And Bloodthirster losing its shield entirely. At that point, what the fuck are you getting Bloodthirster? Meanwhile, underperforming items like Mortal Reminder, which no one built that, the Collector, which only really Jin and Samira built that, and Mercurial Scimitar, no one built that, are receiving simple buffs. There are also a slew of balance changes to epic items to buff underpowered trap upgrades, Recurve Bow, Heartbound Axe, Kerchesis Shard, and nerf overly powerful ones like Zeal. See, I don't like that they're nerfing Zeal, because Zeal is overly powerful because there's not much to pick from. Like, there honestly isn't that much to pick from. And look at what they say at the end of Static Shiv is back. Let's fucking go. I'm still on patch notes. Yeah, I'm going to be on patch notes for a while. This is going to be like a 2-hour slugfest, probably. Anyway, Bloodthirster. What are they doing to BT? So, with the Mortal Shield Bow moving to a legendary for all crit users, BT needs a new niche. So, obviously, Shield Bow is going to contend with the lifesteal spot. So, what are they going to make or what are they going to do to make this unique? Let's see. Bring back Avarice Blade. Oh god, don't tell Draven that. So, buying BT is a shot call that you'll remain healthy and undisturbed on the back line and helps top off your health between engagements. That makes it sound like it's going to be like an Evelyn passive where it's going to regen you. Let's see. So, the lifesteal is going up to 18%. And then when you're above 50% health, you gain an additional 10 to 40 AD? Oh my god! What? Wait, this is good! Holy shit! What the fuck? Yo, yeah, I remember Brutalizer and Avarice Blade. Up. Lucian mains definitely remember. Dude, this new Bloodthirster is actually sick, though. So, you know, the old Bloodthirster, it was more of a safety pick. It was more of a safety option. It's still a good AD item all around the board. It gives good, you know, attack damage. It gives crit. It gives lifesteal, which ADs very much like. But now that it gives even more AD, if you're above 50% health, that's insanely good. This is a damage item now. I think this is going to be built more. The old like passive you gaining the shield wasn't bad, but honestly, fuck it. Get rid of it. Give it a shield bow. Give us this. This is good. This is fucking good. This gets me hard. Anyway, Gale Force is the one crit mythic item that's remaining mythic. The opportunity cost of Infinity Edge, Quick Blades, or Rage Blade is meaningful in terms of DPS, but your path to victory is through helping assassinate a squishy champion, or running your ass out of the fight to not be assassinated yourself. 90% DPS is much better than 0. That is a fact. So, the specific numbers on Gale Force landed squarely stronger than the old version against squishies, but requires building more crit to make use of that power, which should help keep it from being poached by assassins. And we don't need assassins being more mobile, I'll tell you what. So let's see what they're doing. So, now it has bonus move speed. They are changing the build path to BF Sword, Zeal, and Longsword instead of Pickaxe. And now, the active that deals damage deals more damage based on critical strike chance. Okay, damage is increased based on your target's missing health. So, maximum execute threshold is 25%. Okay. And then the passive empowers each of your other legendary items with 5 attack damage. Okay, cool. So honestly, they're not changing this too much. It's just a different build path, and you get more worth out of it with. Honestly, this is fine. This is good. I feel like this is a buff. Very good. So far, the 2 items they've shown, I've liked. And I'm actually scared, but in a good way. Typhoon. So this is the upgraded version. You get more move speed. Cool. The attack speed is going down, though. Oh, the attack speed is going down here, and the AD is going down. Oh, I didn't notice that. But honestly, that's fine. You know, we'll take it. Okay, Jinsos. Holy shit. So, Jinsos is now a mythic. Jinsos Rageblade is back as the pinnacle hybrid on-hit item. Hopefully, this means that Kog'Maw will get buffed. We're gonna see, but Kog'Maw desperately needs a buff. Kog'Maw has not been meta for a while. I feel like I'm one of the few Kog'Maw mains remaining. Let's see what they're doing. So, Jinsos is the pinnacle of hybrid on-hit items. Many of its old rules like extra on-hits and converting crit chance into on-hit damage are still in place, but now it has a specific focus on enabling hybrid damage champions through its mixed penetration mythic passive. So this is where inadvertently I forgot to even name Kog'Maw here, but it gaining AP buffs Kog'Maw because Kog'Maw's W scales off AP. This is a even better item for Kog'Maw now. So neither Void Staff nor Last Whisper upgrades typically make sense on such champions. So you're basically going to do more damage or more penetration with AP and AD. So it's a hybrid pen, which I think that's the first of its kind ever, which is crazy. So obviously the cost is going up from 26 to 32, obviously. The recipe is changing to now include Amp Tome, obviously. And then it has 30 AD, 30 AP. The attack speed is going down by 20%, which hurts a lot. But now, the passive, the attacks apply 30 magic damage on hit, and then it converts your critical strike chance up to 150 more. So it's pretty much around the same thing, and still based on critical strike chance. So this is still a crit item. So it makes me question, why would Teemo go this? Teemo would not go this, unless he's building crit Teemo, which no one does. So, the unique passive. Basic attacks grant a stack of 8% attack speed. Yo, they're bringing it back! They're bringing it back! Holy shit! Up to 4 times. At max stacks, every third attack applies on-hit effects twice. Okay, so you're losing the Phantom proc initially, but you're getting it back once you ramp it up. Honestly, that's a little bit of a nerf, because having the Phantom proc always on with the old Jinsos was really good. The fact that you have to work up to it is going to make people like Kog'Maw actually get kind of nerfed here. People like Yi, this won't matter for. I don't know if they have like a difference in melee and range like they usually do. It doesn't say they do. So maybe it's not too bad, but I really don't like that you have to work up to it. But just doing the math here, right? 8, 16, 24, 32. You're getting 32% attack speed. So overall, you're getting more than the attack speed you had before from Jinsos. So overall, it's a buff, you just have to work up to it, which is really good. And then the Mythic passive empowers each of your other legendaries with 5% armor pen and 6% magic pen. Honestly, that's really good stats. That is really good stats. Overall, I think this is actually a massive buff for Kog'Maw. I think Kog'Maw is so happy with this. The only bad part of this is you have to activate the third ghost hit by ramping it up. So you have to attack 4 times, right? And then after 4 times, your 7th attack at that point procs the ghost proc. But honestly, with everything else here, see, Kog'Maw gets most of his damage from the on hit though, like from the ghost proc of his W. So I don't know. If you can ramp up Kog'Maw stronger, it's just a nerf in the fact that you have to ramp up. But overall, I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited. I'm curious to see Yi with this too. I want to see Master Yi with this. Anyway, this is the upgraded Ornn item. Just better base stats. Cool. Hearthbound Axe. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It costs more and it gives more. Cool. So, Immortal Shield Bow. It's no longer a mythic, like they said. They're demoting it to a legendary, and that means they have to trim some stats down. So it makes sense as a generically accessible source of anti-burst. So basically, if they have a Zed on their team, if they have a lot of assassins, Talon, you can probably get this to help yourself. So, let's see. One note of caution, Shield Bow is not meant to be bought early as its shield does not increase until level 12. So you can't rush this. You should still always, in most circumstances, rush your mythic, and they made that clear here. But for later on, if the assassins are getting out of hand, this should help, but let's see if that's true. So, the cost is going down. The recipe is changing a tad bit from Noon Quiver to Pickaxe, and then the crit chance is obviously the same. The attack damage is the same. No more attack speed, which is sad. And then they remove, or let me see here. So, they're changing the shield to basically be just less. It's a little less. It's not too much less, but it's a little less. Lifeline Shield is backloaded towards later levels. So basically, early on, you're not getting a lot out of this. Later on, after, again, level 12, that's when you're going to get a lot. So, unique passive. So, when Lifeline is triggered, the user gains extra AD for 8 seconds. And, oh, that was before. So now, you get 30% attack speed. So basically, you're getting the attack speed back. So yeah, overall, this item is weaker, but it's supposed to be. This is fine. Yeah, I fully agree with this. This is honestly okay. Infinity Edge. So, across League's lifetime, Infinity Edge has almost always been a mythic item for AD carries in everything but name. So now we're just making it official. It's not a simple stat profile and a simple purpose. Deal up to 20% more auto attack damage based on your crit strike chance. It's good at it. The mythic passive is intentionally pretty bland because IE already does a great job of making your other items feel awesome. So let's see what they're doing here. So basically, it looks like everything is pretty much the same. Except I guess when you build it, you get the crit damage initially. So you can actually rush IE now, which doesn't sound crazy, right? Like, this doesn't sound huge, but this is actually really big. So as long as I'm not reading this, like, falsely, right? This basically means you don't have to, like, build a certain amount of crit chance to activate the doing more damage. So you ADCs are now always going to rush this item, which actually makes me think now they're technically nerfing Gale Force, because Gale Force you have to pick now between IE and Gale Force. You have to pick between doing the same amount of damage you used to do before, but being mobile, just doing more damage and not be, or doing the same amount of damage and not being mobile. This is actually a straight nerf overall. Like, the item itself is getting buffed because you can get online faster, but you lose access to Gale Force. Before, you could build Gale Force and IE and you would have the best of both worlds. Now, you really gotta pick one. Like, it's a very big trade-off here. This is actually insane. Because this is a mythic, you have to choose. You have to choose between Gale Force. What the hell? So what the fuck is Jhin gonna do? Jhin is getting nerfed from this. Like, Jin's coming online earlier, but like, what the hell? Okay, Static better go crazy, because this change, at first it's good. Like, it's really good to be able to build IE first again, if I'm reading it correctly. But it's so bad how you can't get Gale Force with it. Like, what the fuck? I will be honest, this is going to change up how ADCs build, though. I mean, it's going to go back to how it used to be. We always used to build IE first, but I don't know. I don't know if just, like, you know, cutting people off from Gale Force is a good idea. It's either you want to be mobile, like, you want to be, you know, you want to have a dash ability, or you want to do damage. I don't know if I like that. That's really, it's really interesting. And then if you do Gale Force, you can't get Jinsos either. I feel like this is bad. The more I think about it, I was liking it at first, but I don't like how they're, like, separating the builds now, and they're not adding, like, the good items in. Because before, you could easily pick between Shield Bow, Kraken, and Gale Force, and you didn't feel like you were missing out on the other one. You know, you would make an active decision. You're like, okay, I have other good items as legendaries to compensate. Now I feel like all the good item choices as legendaries are mythics now, so you can only choose one, and there's less options overall. This is not good. Then Edge of Finality. Now it does way more damage. Wow. I don't know about this. Interesting. So, Kerchisa's Shard. So, energize effects of infrequent big hits feel more at home with attack damage being at its core stat instead of attack speed. There are several other energized items getting updates in this patch that embrace change as well. So, what are they doing? They're changing the build path, they're giving it damage, and they're removing attack speed. And now the magic damage you get from the unique passive is going down by 20. So overall, this is a buff, because I honestly feel like the attack speed early doesn't really matter. And the 15 damage definitely does. Honestly, I think Kerchisa's Shard is better, but, like, dude, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this change of making it like a mythic. And like, you have to choose between shit now. Dude, I don't know. Oh, God. Anyway, let's look at what they're doing to Kraken. So, Kraken Slayer. Kraken went through several iterations finding its new home as a legendary before landing on this version. Ultimately, Kraken is meant to be an incredibly early item for high attack speed champions that still holds up late. Its damage ramping up against the target helps it retain a bit of the anti-tank flavor, but make no mistake, it's no replacement for Lord Dom's for tank busting. Interesting. So, it's costing less, obviously, the build path is changing. It's doing 25 less damage. It has a little bit more attack speed, and now it has a unique passive. So, every third attack applies. Okay, so instead of true damage, it just applies damage. Subsequent triggers on the same target increase this damage by 50% up to a maximum of 100. Ugh. Ugh. The fact that this isn't true damage hurts it. I don't know how I feel about this. This is overall a nerf to my newest Jin build, my attack speed Kraken Slayer Jin build that I was like making. Because you have to do it to the same target. The biggest thing about Kraken Slayer was you could switch between targets. Now you have to stay on the same target. I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm hard to distract right now. I'm focusing. But anyway, fucking Twitch chat. Anyway, the more I read these ADC changes, the more I'm scared, honestly. The more I'm very scared of these things. This does not seem good. Kraken is just, I mean, obviously it has to be worse, but it's not good on like the characters that like it was niche on. I feel like the very niche characters now are getting worse. Ogma might be a little bit worse. Well, he definitely is, worse early on because of the ramping of Jinsos. Like, Kog'Maw's better late if you can, like, sit down and shoot out, like, 4 shots. Which doesn't sound hard, but it is. But, Kraken Slayer's overall worse. This is crazy. I don't know, man. Now I'm getting scared. What is the goal with this? I want to know what they're saying. Are they saying this is supposed to improve ADC or make it worse? Anyway, Mercurial Scimitar. So, Scimitar is nearly never purchased, and I will tell you exactly why. So, and could stand to receive a small buff. There's still a massive damage loss compared to an offensive-oriented item, but now it gives enough MR to be worth considering in a few more situations. So, it goes from 40 to 50 MR. I will be straight dead honest. No one is buying this for the MR. Maybe you are in very select situations, but the main reason you are buying Scimitar is for the cleanse, for the 1 CC ability cleanse. Now, this is where I'm going to bring in Smite Game. Right, the other MOBA where you fight God, or you fight as a god against other gods, one that I used to play a lot even before League. I used to be top 100 in the world in that MOBA, by the way. And I'm not even capping. But anyway, Mercurial Scimitar, the best way they can make this item viable, and they're so scared to make it viable because number one, they added something in that I'm gonna say onto a champion, and you already know who it is. It's Milio. But if they didn't add Milio, I think 100% they should have added this into Scimitar. Instead of making it cleanse 1 CC, because that's all Scimitar does, it cleanses 1 CC. In this game, where chain CC is a thing, where a lot of people just like beat the fucking crud out of you while holding your face in the dirt while doing it, cleansing 1 CC doesn't matter. It's a big reason why I think GA has fallen out of favor. GA has fallen out of favor because once you revive, you're just gonna die again. Once you revive, your team, in very select instances, can really help you while the team fight's going on. Because at this point, you're a big part of your team's damage. You have to help them kill the enemy. If you're dead and you're reviving in 3 seconds, that's 3 seconds the enemy team is not taking damage from a primary damage dealer. That's 3 seconds the enemy team has the advantage to not only push the other team, your team, which is now doing way less to them, supposedly, but it's also giving them time to just group up around you and beat the shit out of you again once you get up. The only situation when that doesn't happen is if your team is already winning and they're winning without you. If they're winning without you, then you didn't need to have GA anyway. It's just icing on the cake. Now, that's not to say these are the only 2 situations, even though I did kind of speak in absolutes here. There is the third situation where the fight is close, you res and you wipe them, but that situation is so fucking rare. It basically never happens. It happens, but it's so low, it basically never happens. So essentially what I'm saying is they should buff Scimitar to cleanse all CC to make you CC immune, which I know that sounds strong. And especially with Milio out, they're very, very scared of doing this. But Smite has done it, and granted, Smite is a fuckfest. But overall, if they just give Mercurial Scimitar, like, you get 1 second or even half a second of just CC cleansing and immunity, this can be built more, because at least at that point it gives you a chance to even escape or fight back or do something. The only time Mercurial Scimitar will be good is in low elo when people don't know how to chain CC. If you're in like middle elo or high elo where people know what the fuck they're doing, they're just gonna chain CC you, and Mercurial doesn't matter. You might as well get a different item. So it's like, I don't know what else to say. I mean, obviously they're not gonna change it to what matters, but it is what it is. So Mercurial, it's slightly better, but I don't think it matters. Mortal Reminder. They said this item is way underperforming. They're giving it 5 AD. That does nothing. Okay. Navori Quick Blades. I fucking hate this item. I hate doing less damage on the roll that's supposed to do the most damage. Which now, they're making you choose. Even worse, if you want to do damage, you have to sacrifice a lot of things. So already I don't like what's happening. So what are they doing to Navori? Another item which loses you out on damage. Welcome to the Mythic League Navori Quick Blades. Quick Blades is an excellent item for crit users with high uptime on basics and abilities. So like Lucian. See, we already saw this. We already saw this with Navori earlier on. Navori, you used to be able to build it at any time. Then they made it conflict with Infinity Edge. Now they're making it a mythic, so it's conflicting with other mythics. They're making it more and more you have to choose between these things, which I don't know if that's good. You used to get all these things at the same time, and ADCs still were not good. So if now you're taking all the tools that ADCs had before that they could get and have all at once, and you're separating it, ADCs already weren't good, now they're going to be even worse. I don't agree with this at all. I'm very scared of this. So, let's see. Giving up to 20% more ability damage based on crit chance and the ability to refresh those abilities, Quickblade serves those champions extremely well and feels like a capstone level effect. Like Infinity Edge, Quickblades already does a great job of amping everything else. So they're just going to give it ability haste as the passive. So its price is unchanged, its build path is unchanged, almost everything is unchanged. Now attacks reduce non-ultimate ability by 12%, their remaining cooldown, and your abilities can deal up to 20% increased damage. And you get haste. So they changed almost nothing about this item. Cool. And instead of Quick Blades, it's called Flicker, which is one of my favorite Porter Robinson songs, ironically enough, for the Ornn upgrade. So, Noon Quiver. Noon Quiver doesn't go into any mythic items. Cool. PD, they're going to nerf this thing because this thing is one of the good Zeal items, because it's one of the only items that really matters that you buy if you want to actually just main DPS. See, this is where I would argue the Zeal items are actually well balanced around. The Zeal items each have their unique niche. I don't know why I should say that, but anyway. Phantom Dancer is the one you want to do if you want to do damage. Rapid Fire Cannon is the one you want to do if you want to poke. I don't remember if there's another Zeal item. I think there is, but... Oh, Runons. Runons is the one you want to do if you want to do AoE, right? So PD, even though it's, it can be used as in a team fight, obviously Runons is way better. PD is more like, okay, I want to like really just like single target DPS people, you get PD. Oh, I want to do AoE, you get Runons. Oh, I want to be safer, you get Rapid Fire. There's active and clear situations and reasons why you would get each one, and you could get all three if you really want to. Not that you should, but it doesn't restrict you. The ADC role is getting more restrictive. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, if I was already getting like off put by the rift and like the toxic ass people and like the sorry state that ADC is in, I feel like this is just going to push me more to play ARAM and TFT, which, I don't mind because, League hasn't been hitting recently, but it's just sad, man, to see all this shit happen. I'm very scared by this. But anyway, so they're increasing the cost, but they're also upping the attack speed. So, okay, slight nerf, but slight buff. Rage Knife. So Rage Knife now builds obviously into a mythic, so they're probably going to buff it. So it's increased cost, but it now gives you more stats because it costs more and it's a part of a mythic. So it grants you 5% attack speed stacking up to 3 times. Okay, cool. Rage Knife is a little better. Rapid Fire. So Rapid Fire's purpose is to land individual snipes from out of the range of counterattack, aka to be a safe item, and its profile has been updated to reinforce it. So the significant price increase retains a similar level of gold efficiency. So they're upping this shit by 500 gold. That is a lot of gold. So I'm a little confused. A lot of ADC builds, I don't think anything has really gotten cheaper aside from the old mythics going to legendaries, which, excuse me, they literally have to. They literally have to get cheaper. But everything else, I feel like more things are getting more expensive. Overall, things are just getting worse. Like, it's obviously we got the IE change, right? Like, you can build IE first and get the crit damage bonus right off the bat. But you have to wait longer to do everything else now, and you have to choose on what you want to do because you can't do as much as before in terms of functionality with items. So you have to wait longer, and you can't do everything of what you did before. You have to really choose. This is overall worse. I don't know. I mean, granted, Rapid Fire gives 30 fucking AD now, which is good, but you're losing a lot of attack speed on. Holy shit. And now what does it do? Now it does bonus magic damage, and you get up to 35% bonus range. Okay. So it could do more damage now. It does less damage early, more damage late. And you still get the range. But overall, it just costs more. It gives more, but it costs more. Which means, granted, we haven't gone to the change about late game, or about early game that they said they were going to go over. I don't know what they're doing with early game. So if they're planning to artificially bring back a meta where the games last longer, then maybe this is okay. But if games last as short as they do and they're increasing the cost of all these ADC items, this is not good. Maybe they're banking on, oh, if you build IE early, you're going to get online earlier and you're going to get more of a gold lead, you're going to snowball, but you can't assume that, right? Like, you shouldn't plan for that. The ADC role, even though there are hyper carries that are supposed to snowball, that shouldn't be baked into the role. So I'm very concerned. Recurve bow, it's getting nerfed in cost. Wow. And it's going down in attack speed, and it's getting magic bonus damage on it. That's probably because it's going into Jinsos. But I'm not too sure. Oh god, Runans. Oh no. I'm scared. I'm scared. So, like I said before, Runans, obviously it's for AoE. I went over all the Zeal items already. So, they're increasing the gold to help place it in a direct consideration with other marksman items. I feel like this thing was already niche though, because unless you had something that synergized with Runans, like Jinx rockets or Aphelios guns, or Callista spears too, like unless you had something to synergize with it. Remember how I said if you want AoE, you get this? You get this if you want AoE and you have something that also interacts with it. If you have nothing that interacts with Jinsos, you don't get it. I know this is kind of a bad example, but like I'll give the examples of people who don't want this because they have nothing that synergizes with it. Lucian does not want this. Ezreal does not want this. I know Ezreal's a bad example. Sivir does not want this item. Sivir does AoE already. This is a very niche item in a way. You still obviously want it for AoE, but even that's not enough for it. So I don't know why they're saying like they're gonna, buff its cost to put it in consideration. It should be in consideration by being cheaper because it's already a niche item. But whatever. So, on-hit damage with less attack speed should help it find a home in on-hit build. So this is a buff. It's a Kog'Maw. That risks overcapping their attack speed. While an increased AD ratio on the bolt should help it find a home in more crit-favored builds, the rules update around finding minions to hit is meant to reduce the number of cases where no additional bolts fire. What the fuck does that even mean? So, the attack speed is going down by 5, and now you apply 30 magic damage on hit, and your bolts are doing more damage from 40 to 50, and Wind's Fury now additionally searches for any minions in range if no champions can be found. So I don't understand the last part, but overall this is a buff. Honestly, Runan's is better. Runan's is straight getting buffed for Kog'Maw. This is good. This is good. Oh my god, it's back. And they made it look different too. It doesn't look like the old yellow piss. Holy shit. So, Static Shiv is back. Shiv is meant to be the premier wave clear item for crit users. Now let me tell you what Shiv used to be. Shiv used to be, in the olden days, an item that wave cleared and just did like really good damage. Like when you had the Shiv proc and you would use it on enemies, it would just chain them. It was lightning. It was cool. This was a baller item. This item, when you heard the Static Shiv proc go like, zzz, like you fucking jizzed yourself. This shit was good. I hope they bring it back to its former glory. I really hope. So, I don't want it to be only wave clear, because that's not all Shiv was. Shiv, granted, the old Shiv did fall off a little bit in the late game. Not too much though, because it can actually crit. The old Shiv proc could crit. So it was good in the early game, it was good in the mid game, and it scaled in the late game too. Now obviously there was better items, but the proc itself, it's good for poke. It's really good for poke, and it's not like wiener poke, it's decent poke. So like I really hope they make it good. Not just for wave clear, but for like AoE damage too. And you know, not AoE, but like chain damage. Let's see. Shiv is meant to be the premier wave clear item for crit users. Damage scales up for about as fast as minion health does and deals a moderate amount of damage to champions. Much less than PvP focused items like Storm Razor. A note on energized stacking. All energized items stack in the most linear way possible. The first target hit takes the normal effects from each energized items. Static Shiv's bounces only apply Shiv's damage to additional targets, which is how it used to be too. So only Shiv's damage is going to proc, not your auto damage. You know, it's pretty obvious, but if you're an idiot, that's what it does. So, 3k gold, AD 45, attack speed 25, crit chance 20. Your energized attacks fire chain lightning that applies 60 to 170 plus 50% bonus AP. These energized attacks will hit 6 to 12 targets. They chain to the next target within 600 range every time it deals damage. And they deal 120 bonus damage to minions. So actually, I don't know if this is the case. If this is the case, this item is OP. I don't think this is the case though, but I'm going to tell you this. If this item can chain back and forth, similar to a Rise Ball, between the same two, or sorry, similar to a Brand Ult, right? Between two targets, this item is broken. Like, they're going to nerf it. I don't think, I'm 90% sure that's not the case. I think it only bounces to a target once. It doesn't bounce back to them. But if it does, this item will be crazy. But I'm very excited that it's back. I'm sad that it doesn't crit, because the old Static Shiv did, and that's what made it viable mid to late game. This one doesn't look like it'll be viable mid to game, especially because it scales off AP. So this honestly just seems like an early game item, and if that's the case, this is kind of ass, but I guess we'll see. This item doesn't look too good though based on just the passive. I mean, the biggest thing is, like they said, AoE, but you don't really need AoE. I mean, AoE is important. If your team doesn't have it, I guess, but as the ADC, it should not be your job to do AoE. You should get other items like BT just to do more damage. Your job should be damage, not wave. That's the fucking mage's job. So I don't know how I feel about this. I'm glad Static's back, but I think they made it too much for, like, minions, which I don't like. Storm Razor. So, Storm Razor, this item is so stupid. This item is like a gimmick, honestly. This item is only good when it's paired with Rapid Fire Cannon. And that's because, simply put, it's too inconsistent. You have to constantly be autoing. And you don't want to save your auto to use it on the enemy, and it doesn't come up often enough to be like an actual increase in DPS. This, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much a poke item. It's a poke item that isn't very consistent, and it takes too long. Like, why would I do this, right? When I could just use static, not have to like hold my auto to try and like pressure them or like try and poke them out. I could just auto the wave and hit them anyway. I feel like the consistency is key, and this thing is not consistent. And it's not consistent not because of the item itself, because because of the nature of the item. Like, it's no fault of the item technically, it's the fault of the design, which is stupid. This item needs to be changed. I hate this item. Anyway, Stormrazor has found a new life as an early PvP-focused legendary crit item. Its early damage is roughly in line with the last version of the item, and the added damage scaling should help it remain valuable later on. This has been transformed into a selfish move speed buff, which enables a swift disengage. Okay, that's really good. Or the ability to close the gap for further damage, maybe with a... Look, here it is, just like I mentioned. A rapid fire cannon. So, the cost is going up. The build path is changing. The AD is going up. The attack speed still sucks. The crit strike chance is the same. And now the bolt applies AD plus AP and gives you 45% move speed for 1 second. Honestly, this might be a really good item on Jhin, not gonna lie. This might replace Kraken Slayer on Jhin, personally. But we gotta see. There might be actually some new cheese builds with Jhin now. I could see a person going IE, Kraken Slayer, Stormrazor, Static, because on Jhin you need Static to clear the wave. But it's such a shame Static does not scale. If Static scaled not off purely AP, this item would be really decent. Or if it could crit. It's so sad. I feel like they fumbled the bag with Static too. Such a beloved item, man. Fuck. But Stormrazor, we gotta see. I still feel like this item is niche though. Caitlyn obviously is gonna love this because she loves to harass people with rapid fire and this item. But yeah, I don't know. I still think this item is niche. It's better, but it's still niche. So, Collector, this item is basically used on 2 people. Maybe 3 if you're lucky. Samira, Jhin, and if you're lucky, Kaisa. So, they're increasing the lethality. Will this actually do anything? I don't think so. Zeal. So, all the Zeal items are getting nerfed in cost, so Zeal is obviously going to change. And overall, they're nerfing it because they want most of the damage to be back-ended, not front-loaded. Let's see if I'm right with that assumption. While several epic items were buffed as they were lacking in gold, Zeal was far too powerful. Yes, it's receiving a cost increased, attack speed decreased, and move speed decrease, but these changes are all pretty small. So basically, yeah, it was too front-loaded. So that's fine. We haven't even gone over the support changes or the early game changes. This is insane. I told you guys, this is going to be like a 2-hour slugfest. The mid-season patch is always so fucking meaty. So, Duskblade of Drakthar. What do I think of Duskblade? Duskblade? Well, in general, I think assassins fucking suck ass. I don't think assassins are good by the pure proof that they have to go jungle now. They don't even like get a lane to themselves anymore. Like, mid laners are not assassins, it's mostly just mage. So, I feel like Duskblade is weird. It is a damage item, but almost all the assassin items are like damage items. Like, I would rather have Prowler's Claw than I think Duskblade. Duskblade is very niche with the little passive where you go invisible after killing. But I feel like it's too gimmicky. Like, it doesn't really help you. Because typically what happens with assassins is you go in, you kill the AD, you die. Duskblade doesn't really save you from that. There is situations where it does, but it doesn't really. And if you're already winning, it's just a win more item, but at that point, Duskblade, or Prowler's Claw is too. So, I feel like they have to buff this item. Let's see. Like Prowler's Claw, Duskblade gave a unique effect to many champions. With Stealth, we found that the appeal and frustration of the item limited how powerful the item could be. So, it's not that the item was weak. It's that Riot was scared. This is a big thing I'm noticing. Riot is very scared to make things too powerful. Maybe because we clowned them too hard for Aphelios. And now, like, if there's something that could be strong, Riot always errs on the side of safety. And it's kind of sad, and it's kind of, like, making the game worse, I think. But anyway. Since its release, Duskblade has been a notably weaker item than the other mythics. That's true. We're reworking the stealth aspect to be a bit clearer for both sides and filling in the power budget with a new passive, perfect for ability-based casters. Interesting. So, the passive would no longer empower your next basic attack every 15 seconds. Instead, your spells deal more damage So this is literally just like an Ivori Quick Blades for assassins, but it's based on missing health. And now, when a champion you have damaged within the past 3 seconds dies, you become invisible. That's how it used to be. Now, it's in the past 3 seconds, if a champion dies that you damaged, you become untargetable by non-structures. Honestly, I think in some ways this is better. This effect does not destroy incoming missiles and breaks upon taking any action that would normally exit stealth. Oh, so you become Oh, I'm stupid. So it says untargetable, not invulnerable. Okay, I thought this was way stronger than it actually. So it's like going into Yi Alpha, except they still see you, and you still take damage from things that are coming in. So it's like Gwen, or it's like a Kali Shred. You can still hit them. It's just you have to have AOE, or you have to like have a skill shot. Honestly, this is a nerf, but hopefully because of this they add more power to the item, which, you know, additional 15% damage just across the board as they get lower. I think that's pretty good. Because you don't have to commit for it. And assassins, typically, if you're autoing someone as an assassin, you're committing. Honestly, overall, I think this is better. It's a nerf, but I think it's better for the item. Granted, for the people who are actually good at assassin, this is worse. But for, I think, the majority of people, which, again, the game is becoming more casual, I think this is better. So, interesting change. We gotta see how it plays out. Prowler's Claw. This item is really fucking good. This is a really good item. Not only is it a damage buff, it is a item to dash and stick on an enemy. This item is ridiculous. So, Prowler's Claw was the first item to give every champion a targeted dash, which unlocked amazing new combos and introduced a skill-intensive item for players to show off their outplay potential. Yeah, I don't know what they mean here. I don't know what outplay potential there is by I hop on you, I one-shot you, I kill you, because I just outdamage you. However, it's a consistent target access ended up limiting how we could balance and design champions. Some champions such as Talon and Rek'Sai were designed with huge payoffs if they could use their mobility skills to get into melee range. So with Prowler's Claw, this trivialized that part of their kit and it made them a lot easier, so they had to get nerfed. We're making the call to remove the dash from Prowler's Claw and promote Ghost Blade with the aim to maintain 3 exciting mythic choices for assassins, followed by more niche options for lethality legendaries. So it's becoming a legendary, it's no longer a mythic. It's getting a little bit of a gold hit, a little bit of an AD hit, AP or ability haste hit, lethality hit. And now, after dashing, blinking, or exiting stealth, your next attack on an enemy champion deals bonus damage. If the owner is melee, the attack also slows. Yeah, this item sucks. This item is overall worse. I mean, how worse? I don't know. Obviously, it's worse than the mythic. But damn, losing that damage bonus and the dash? Ah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely more of a poke item, but I feel like with Duskblade and this, who knows? Maybe assassins are going to be really good at poking. Who knows? Okay, Yomus. I feel like almost no one uses Yomus anymore. Hopefully that'll change with them. I mean, no one uses assassins anymore in general, but I feel like the main person who might use Yomus is like Zed and Talon. I don't feel like any other assassin really. I barely see this item because again, I barely see assassins. So, Yomu has always been a staple of assassin item system. With Prowlers being moved to a legendary, we're polishing Yomus into a mythic. This item should excel for assassins who want to invest in upfront burst and mobility. Map mobility specifically. If you're looking for more extended fights to finish off low health targets, Eclipse and Duskblade will be better. So, it's getting more AD, more haste. You're now getting more move speed with the active. The passive of just out of combat move speed is getting removed, and now, God, what the hell is this paragraph? Excuse me. Now you're gonna get spectral shards, which is I guess like similar to what you get with the static items or what you get with the energized items for ADC. For each stack, you gain move speed up to 40. At max stacks, you gain lethality. These stacks resets 3 seconds after dealing damage to an enemy champion while at max stack. So not from taking damage. If it was from taking damage, this item would have been crap. But thankfully it's not. Empowers each of your other legendaries with 7 attack damage. So honestly, this is pretty strong. Yeah, this is very good for roaming. Or for just getting back to lane. Honestly, Youmuu's is pretty good. I like Youmuu's. The fact that it gives lethality is really good. Very nice change to Youmuu's. Honestly, I'm surprised. And then Youmuu's Wake. Rated item. Cool. Holy fuck. I feel like we're only halfway through this shit. This is insane. Support item changes. So the broad goal of these changes better be to make supports back in the bot lane and not mages. Let's see if that's what's happening. The goal of these mid-season changes is to enable supports to buy more items in an average game and to try and generally increase satisfaction. The mid-season is mainly focused around the Enchanter item system with the introduction of Echoes of Helia and the Moonstone Renewer rework, as well as providing more options for support tanks. Oh, thank Lord. I thought they were going to not touch tanks at all. There's still more work to be done in this space, but we're hoping that this is a meaningful step towards increasing satisfaction with supports. They need to just say, get mages out the bot lane. So, you know what ended up happening that's very sad? It's like mages started creeping in the bot lane, and Riot was like, okay, you know, we're gonna monitor this. This is interesting. We're not saying no, but, you know, we want to keep it tame. And that was a complete and utter lie, because now mages are infesting the bot lane. They're like a freaking not indigenous species. They're like an invading species. Like, they came in overpopulated, and now we can't fucking get rid of them. Fucking stupid. So anyway, Abyssal Mask. No one builds this item. Abyssal Mask's cost has been reduced, and the recipe has been changed in order to be a more efficient magic resist option for tanks. So they made it dummy cheaper. It's giving less health. It's giving more MR. And now it no longer has Eternity, but if you're near another enemy champion, they get their MR reduced. Interesting. And you get bonus MR if you're reducing someone's MR too. This is really not only for like anti-MR, it's also like to buff your AP. And not just yours, but like, you know, your team's. Which, I mean, I guess supports do need to help the team other than the AD, but realistically they don't just help the AD. But this is good. This is good. Ardent. This item has not been used in a long time. Why? Mages in the bot lane. So, what are they doing? We're putting more power into the passive and adding movement speed into Ardent Sensor so that's easier to keep up with the teammates you'll be enhancing. Oh, I thought they meant like you're going to give your AD move speed. God damn it. Bane spotting just got a little bit easier. So it's getting cheaper, which is good. The AP is going down by a lot, which is honestly fine. Base mana regen is going down, which is sad. There's 5% move speed, which is whatever. And now it's becoming healing or shielding another ally enhances you both for 6 seconds, granting your attacks attack speed and magic damage on hit. This is better than what it used to be. This is good. This is good. This item is even ass on Ivern. I don't know. I feel like they made it better. I feel like they made it decently better. It's more for the AD now. It's not for the support, which honestly, this is fine. Supports do not need AP. They don't. Like, some is obviously needed just to help with their scalings, but a lot of the AP support items should be front-loaded into their passives. The AP is going to make a lot of people's shields less. Yeah, I mean, that's another systematic thing they need to fix. I mean, again, they did say this was the first step. A lot of... This is what they don't understand. A lot of support's power needs to be somewhat front-loaded, not only in their kits, but also in their items. Supports should not be dependent on scaling. Supports should not have good scalings, and they should have good base stats in their abilities. Like Janna's shield, sure, it should scale off AP, but the majority of its power should come from its base level and just from item powering it up. Because, you know, it gives bonus heal and shield power. Like 8% should be strong because the base ability should be strong. But again, maybe they'll do that, or maybe they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing. But anyway, I mean, listen, Hunt, you should go back and listen to the rest of the video. I go in depth on a lot of the bullshit they're doing. I am scared for ADCs with these changes, man. I don't know. Chalice of Blessing. Interesting. You know what I miss? I miss Athene's Unholy Grail. Athene's Unholy Grail was such a good healing item in lane. It basically made any support Soraka. Or Super Soraka, if you went Soraka with it. So anyway, Chalice is being introduced as a new component meant to build into other enchanter items and provide some additional value by allowing supports access to mana regen early. You know what's ironic? So I think Athene's basically its spirit lives on in what the fuck is that support item that like gives healing? Fuck. I don't remember like what it was. It's not Staff of Flowing Water. It's let me look it up. Fucking cock. League support items. Yeah, Moonstone. Yeah, Coomstone. So Coomstone essentially is basically like Athene's spirit living on, except it's worse. What was so good about Athene's? Athene's, you had to charge up stacks for it, you had to charge up its charge, and then it would explode all in one big burst of healing that was noticeable. I'm gonna be straight dead honest. I've had to personally look very hard, noticeably not paying attention to the game or the fight that's happening, to notice Moonstone Renewer's healing that was occurring. I think the problem is if they change Moonstone to be similar to Athene's, not even just change how much it heals, just change how it heals, and it'll be more satisfying. This is actually something that Riot released way back when, and it was something that had to do with Alistar. Now granted, this no longer applies to Alistar because he lost his damage on his ult, but one of the things that's important, and one of the things that's very satisfying in gameplay, is having things have a visible payoff. And how do you do that? You build up to it, because you can't make it consistent, you can't make it every hit. Look at Vayne. If Vayne did true damage on every hit, they would have to, like, let's just say they one-thirded Vayne's damage of true damage, but they allowed it to proc on every auto. So if you hit them 3 times, you're still doing the same amount of true damage, but it's split up between your 3 autos. At that point, playing Vayne, honestly, it would be a straight buff, because sometimes you don't 3 auto people, but it would overall not feel as good, because seeing that big chunk on the 3rd auto is pleasing. It's fun, it's good. It's the same thing with Alistar. Alistar used to get a lot of AD from his ultimate, but you wouldn't notice it because it's just baked into every auto. If you had it be a 3-hit passive, it would have been way more rewarding, way more fulfilling. People would have liked it more. But then, you know, Alistar becomes a little OP and you don't want that. So, essentially though, what I'm saying is having it be a big build-up leads to more player satisfaction. So I think if they change Moonstone Renewer into that, I mean, we're not even like going over Moonstone Renewer right now. We're just going over Chalice, which reminded me of Athene. But I think that's one of the things they could do to Moonstone to just make it like better. Now, functionally, it would be a nerf because you're healing less overall. Because if you have the healing be like lowered but consistent, it's gonna happen more often, which is gonna be better. But it's going to be just more rewarding, more feel good if it just happens in one big burst. So it's kind of like a tricky situation. But anyway, back to Chalice. So Chalice is a component. Cool. You get mana regen early. Nice. We spend so much time on that. So Chemtech Putrefier. This item is pretty important for all supports if the enemy has any sort of healing. So this item is pretty much always built. Reducing the overall cost of Chemtech Putrefier, so it's one of the more affordable items. So overall, I like what they're doing. They're making all the support items more affordable. That's very good. So, are they nerfing in any meaningful way? Less AP, that's fine. See, it makes me sad because at this point, supports don't scale as good. Which again, like I said, they need to solve that by just buffing their base like ability numbers, but we don't know if they're going to do that. So just looking at these changes alone, they are good in one way, but overall supports are stronger because they can actually get their items sooner, but they're overall also weaker. So it's sort of like they're more early oriented, because the earlier you get the item, the better. But then as the game goes on, you're weaker once you have all your items compared to before. So it's a little interesting. So The base mana regen is down, the heal and shield power is going up, which is very good. And then dealing damage to an enemy champion inflicts grievous wounds, and that's unchanged. So Chemtech is pretty much adjusted. Echoes of Helia. This definitely looks Ruined Isles theme. Or Shadow Isles, sorry, not the... So, raise those grails because we're bringing back the spiritual successor to the much beloved item of olden times. Introducing Echoes of Helia. Echoes of Helia is intended to be an item that's mainly for enchanters and focuses on helping out more offensively than skirmish play patterns. So if you like poking down your opponents in lane, this is the item for you. As a consequence, Imperial Mandate was moved down to Legendary. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot Imperial Mandate even existed. You know why? Because no one fucking built it. You know why? Mages in the bot lane. So let's see what they're doing with Echoes of Helia. So this is supposed to be the successor to Imperial Mandate. So the cost is 2,300. That's pretty cheap. The AP is 30, health, ability haste, and a regen. So the one thing that matters, Soul Siphon. Dealing damage to an enemy champion grants a soul shard up to 2. Healing or shielding an ally consumes all soul shards based on the ally's level and restores health and deals magic damage to the nearest enemy champion? Oh, damn. So it's sort of like Athene's. So, see, this is where I feel like I don't understand this item, though. So, we have Moonstone Renewer, which is a pure healing item. And then, what are the other support? Let me think. So, Moonstone Renewer is a purely healing item. Do we have a purely damaging support item? We kind of don't. So maybe that fills in... Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does fill in for Mandate, but I feel like it treads on the territory of Moonstone Renewer. I honestly think this just makes Moonstone Renewer bad. Granted, it's not going to have as much healing as Moonstone Renewer, but again, I think people don't respect Moonstone Renewer because they don't notice its effects, because it's not noticeable. So honestly, you're going to notice this. I feel like this is going to just it's going to overshadow Moonstone, I personally think. So, the unique passive is Dissonance, and it gives you a wait, does it give you a shield? No, it doesn't. Okay. So you gain 3 AP for 25% base mana regen. Oh, okay. And then empowers each of your other legendaries with 5 ability haste. Okay, this is pretty interesting. This is pretty cool. Karma and Soraka are going to get more annoying if they're ever played. So, Cry of the Shrieking City. Dude, the Ornn items have such good names. Shit. Okay, anyway, Even Shroud. They better buff this fucking item. For Even Shroud, we have a cost and a recipe adjustment to bring it in line with the rest of the support ecosystem. We'll be keeping an eye on the satisfaction surrounding the item and Zeke's to see if there's any improvements we can do in the future. So, it's getting lesser. A lot of things are unchanged, and yeah, everything seems to be unchanged. Okay, so it's just pretty much less, which is good. Yeah, almost everything has changed. This is good. Okay, Mandate. So this is getting smacked down to Legendary. Let's see what they're doing. Imperial Mandate was shifted down to a Legendary tier item to open up the amount of champs that would want to purchase this, but weren't willing to give up their preferred Mythic. So the exact thing that I complained about with ADC is getting fixed in support. Support is getting even more options to choose from, because let's just say you wanted Imperial, but it was a Mythic, so you were better with something else. Now you could have the best of both worlds. On ADC, if you wanted to do good crit damage but also be mobile, you could do that before, and now you can't anymore. So I feel like supports are getting what ADC's lost, which is, not gonna lie, making me kind of jealous. This is kind of stupid, but anyway. Okay. So the total cost is going down. The AP is going up. The haste is staying the same. So, the unique passive. Abilities that slow or immobilize a champion deal more bonus magic damage and mark them. Allied champions detonating the mark, dealing an additional damage. Okay, so this was the old stuff, right? So the new passive is anything that slows or immobilizes deals bonus damage and marks them, and the ally can detonate the mark, and you both get move speed. So it looks like it does the exact same thing. So Bro, this is so stupid. All of the ADC items that got like smacked down to legendary that were mythic lost a lot of their unique mythic identity. Imperial basically keeps its identity. Why? What the I mean, supports aren't strong, so, you know, maybe that's why, but neither are ADCs, man. Obviously, ADCs are stronger than supports, but, like, bro, I feel like this update is, like, a worse thing for ADCs in general. What the fuck? Okay, Knight's Vow. We're reducing the cost and changing the item to be more accessible and integrates with Lifewell Pendant. That sounds like a new, component. We're also introducing a slight nerf to the passive redirection from post mitigation. Okay, the end result is that Knight's Vow users will still take a bit more true damage when redirecting damage from allies. So basically, the supports are going to take more damage overall, even though they're going to protect for the same amount. Honestly, that's fine. So it's getting slightly less expensive, slightly less health, armor, which is really good, slightly less ability haste, less base health regen, and then now instead of taking 10% of it, you take... Oh, so it's just a change from post-mitigation to pre-mitigation. So it's before your armor applies to the damage, which honestly, that's a really big change. Actually, I think that kind of kills the item. I mean, granted, you have armor now, but like... I mean, and it isn't a lot of damage too, because it's being taken by the ADC, but the fact that it's pre-mitigation instead of post, I think matters. See, because we're working with such tiny numbers, maybe it doesn't. I mean, overall, it's going to be more, but we'll have to come back to this one. Overall, I think it's a little worse, though. Well, obviously, it's a little worse. In different ways. This one's weird. This time's weird. Anyway, Lifeball Pendant, a nice little component to Knight's Vow. Locket. They better buff the shit out of this item. This item fucking sucks dick. Locket is currently performing well on live. Someone's lying here. Filling a unique spot as a support damage mitigation tool. Therefore, we're opting to just give it a small cost and stat adjustment. So, it's getting a little cheaper. A lot of things are unchanged. And it's granting a better shield. Cool. Okay, so it's slightly better. Mikhail's Blessing. Almost no one builds this because supports don't want to think. So, what are they doing? So the cost is the same, which is surprising. There's no more MR, which is shocking. I feel like 50 MR is worth way more than 250 health, personally. And I think just stat-wise, it makes sense too. I think 50 MR, especially with the way that armor and MR works in this game, 50 MR is actually way better than 250 health. If you're not already building tank anyway, which if you're support, you're not, right? Well, if you're Enchanter. So on tanks, this is fine. On Enchanters, this is a hard nerf. So the healed and shield power is going a little bit down. And now, it removes all crowd control debuffs except, you know, knock up and suppression. And it restores more health. That's pretty good. And now you have Harmony. So the more mana regen you have, the more health regen you have. Pretty cool. Moonstone Renewer, they better fucking buff this item. Echoes of Helia and the older Moonstone have a pretty big overlap, which is what I said. That enhances your healing. Even if Echoes had a damage output, ultimately this should help Moonstone feel like your actions influence how it impacts a fight as opposed to the healing. So now both items should be useful in different scenarios. Moonstone Renewer is a safer chain healing, whereas Echoes is for when you want to fight and provide more damage. How is it a safer heal? Let me see this. So, a lot of stuff is unchanged. A lot of stat changes don't matter. So what are they doing to the passive? So, healing or shielding an ally chains to the nearest ally champion. Healing them, nearest, based on the ally's target level, or shielding the, what? Oh, so it's buffing your healing and your shielding. But the thing that confuses me is it's on the closest ally. So the way Moonstone Renewer would work before is it would work with the lowest health ally, which, I think was good. This is just the nearest ally, which, at that point, it relies on positioning, and everyone knows people in League can't position. So I think this might be a weird overall nerf. I mean, again, they do have to differentiate it from, like, Helia, but I don't know. Because you might not even get healing from this. If you're playing Janna, this doesn't heal anymore. I mean, it gives you more shield, which I guess is like a different trade-off, but I don't know. Ugh. Okay, this is a weird one. And then you get ability haste. Ugh. Okay, and then Starcaster. Very nice name. Radiant Virtue. I hate this item. This item fucking sucks. This is not a support item. This item is so weird. I've never built this item, and I don't think I ever will. But that's not to say it's not good. Honestly, I don't notice it, though. I do not notice this item doing anything. And I haven't seen this item built on anyone but maybe Zach. I think Zach built this item. Maybe Alistar. Anyway, Radiant Virtue is still positioned as an item for top and jungle tanks. But by lowering its cost, we're hoping to open it up as a greedy support item purchase. I don't know how this thing can be greedy. So, what does this thing do? It transcends you when you ult, it increases your max health, and it heals your allies for 3% of your max health. So that's changing to healing for... Wait a minute. So it's a nerf to your max health, and it's a nerf to the healing. Is that because of the cost decrease? What the hell? Yeah, I don't know. I hate this item. I feel like this item is just wiener. It's just an AoE heal. And you have to ult with it. Primordial Dawn. Very nice name as always. Redemption. Jesus Christ. How long is this fucking patch, bro? I haven't even eaten my dinner. I knew what I was in for, though. I knew what I was in for. Anyway. Redemption is another item that's seeing some recipe adjustments and getting a bit more strength to its healing. So basically, it's getting the Harmony passive, and now you call down a beam that heals you for more. And it has some stat changes. So overall, it's a little better. Cool. Shirelias. I do see Shirelias used. So, Shirelias is one of the strongest support items in terms of satisfaction. Yes, because it's an active and you feel it. So we didn't want to fix something that wasn't broken. Oh yeah, just like you did with ADC, right? We ultimately reduced the total cost, shaved some AP off, and took some power out of the passive. I feel like this doesn't feel good. So they're actively making items cost less, but they're reducing their power. Ultimately, it's always this idea of how do you want to fix the game, right? Do you want to make everything worse when everything is like really, when everything is quote unquote too good? If you do that, it runs the risk of having people get frustrated because going from something bad or something good to something bad always feels bad. It's always something you don't want to do, which is why what ends up happening is they buff everything else. You should raise all the ships to the same level, not lower everyone to the other thing. So it's very weird that like this is the route they chose to do with the support items. Like, okay, yeah, let's lower their costs, but also let's nerf most of them, so like they're overall like weaker, but like you get them earlier. So it's a weird trade off. I went over this before, but I don't know. This feels like it's gonna feel not good, but I don't know. Darkest Dungeon 2 Stream 1 when I have fucking time, which is not going to be anytime soon. I haven't played any games today. I've just been doing like reactions and patch notes. But anyway, Shirelia's Requiem, pretty good name. So, Staff of Flowing Water. Guard and Sensor were putting more power into the passive and adding move speed so that's easier to keep up with teammates. Okay, cool. 5% move speed. Wow. Wow. And 50 to 35 AP. I feel like they're shaving off more stats than like the gold reduction warrants. Honestly, I think they're over nerfing support items. Why the fuck? Okay, this begs the question now. Why the fuck would you go support when you could just go mage? You're gonna feel weaker. Sure, you get the items a little earlier, but I feel like they're more shittier than they should be for the cost reduction. And like, I don't know. I feel like Riot is getting a lot of things wrong here. I do not feel like these things are good. But anyway, yeah, Staff of Flowing Water is better in some ways, worse in others. So let me see. Does it give you more? Yeah, it does give you more move speed. No, ability power and haste. Oh, what the hell? Okay, so the passive is going up, but the base stats are going down. I don't know how I feel about this. Watchful Wardstone. This item is never built. I don't know who the fuck built this item. I don't know why it's still in the game. It's a good idea, but it should honestly just have its own ward slot. You should have a dedicated ward slot different from a trinket slot, because if you need to have a sweeper and you're not a support, you can't ward anymore. So granted, I understand like you do not build this item, Adrian, shut up. So I understand like having this for supports, but I've never seen a support build this unless they were trolling. This item is just ass. With the cost of items going down, there was a need to create a late game gold sink for when your inventory is full. Watchful and Vigilant Wardstone is intended to be that later game gold sink for supports. See, I don't think anyone's going to build this because this is literally just an item that wards, right? Granted, from what I see down here, that might not be the case anymore. It might actually be good. But before they change this item, like this item, why would you rather like get this than an item that gives you an actual passive that's not a ward, which you already have in one of your other items? It doesn't make sense. Like, would I rather have this or Staff of Flowing Water? Would I rather have this to ward, or would I rather have Imperial Mandate to get move speed and damage? It's a no-brainer. It's stupid. So anyway, Watchful Wardstone can only be purchased after completing your support quest. Cool. So now it gives you base mana regen. It can store up to 3 purchased controlled wards, so you still have to buy control wards, which is stupid. They should just make it on a timer. They should honestly make it so you don't have to buy them. You could just get them on a timer. That would make the item good. And then now it grants an 8% increase to bonus health, bonus AD, ability haste, and ability power. I thought this was good, but now looking at it, this is stupid. Do you know why? It says bonus. How much bonus do you get building support items? They just nerfed all the AP values on the support items. So 8% of fucking like diddly squat is even less than diddly squat. Okay, cool. Wow, I get like an extra 3 AP, an extra 5 AP now. Oh, thanks, Riot. Wow. Like, bro, what? What? No, but let's be realistic here. Let me try and think, because I don't play support often. How much AP do supports really have by the end? We'll say 200. I don't know if that's accurate, but we'll say 200, right? 10% of 200 is 20. 8% of 200 is like, we'll just say 18, right? But that was before. I feel like now you're going to get like 150 AP. So what? This is going to be like an extra, what, 13 AP? Wow. Wow. Like, I don't know. I don't know. If it increased it like shields and healing, then I would say it's okay. But I don't know. The fact that it increases health is okay, but bonus attack damage, ability haste, and ability power I feel like is a little eh. The ability haste is the only good one, actually. Increasing attack damage and ability power with this item is fucking stupid. Makes no sense. Vigilant Wardstone. So basically they're saying the same thing. Vigilant was changed from an auto upgrade from Watchful into a gold sink. So this is intended to be a strong late game item for those games where your inventory gets full and you still want to be able to buy control wards, which I always said, how the fuck can you do that? This is their answer to it, which I think is a half-assed answer. I still think they should have their own dedicated slot for control wards, but you know, that's just me. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. So it grants 20% bonus. Okay, that is better. That is better. But and the biggest thing is it does increase your stealth ward and control ward placement caps by 1, which is pretty good. Honestly, I only see them using this in LCS. This is stupid. Next, Zeke's Convergence. Okay, I think we're finally near the end. Holy moly. So for Zeke's, they have some cost, stat, and recipe adjustments. Let's bring it in line with the rest of the support items. So, okay, what are they doing? So they're reducing the cost, they're reducing the health, they're increasing the armor, They're reducing the ability haste. Are they changing the active and the passive? Because that's the only thing that really matters, honestly. Let's see. So, for 8 seconds after you immobilize an enemy, your accomplice attacks on hit and ability hits apply an additional... Oh my god. Wait, that's what Zeke's did? I thought it was after you casted your ultimate. Wait, they changed Zeke's? What the fuck? Holy shit, wait. 70 on hit? And there's like, it's for 8 seconds, so there's no cooldown to it. Wait, Zeke's is actually ridiculous. Oh my god. The problem is you have to immobilize the enemy, though. So I was gonna think, like, Karma can build this, Janna can build this, Soraka can kind of build this. Wow, this would be amazing on Kog'Maw. Holy shit. I had a wrong interpretation of Zeke's. I thought Zeke's is when you ult it. Huh. Wow. Okay, so Zeke's is a little bit worse. A little bit better with cost, a little bit worse and everything. Okay. Other items. They're nerfing Sunderer. Okay. That's fine, because everyone built this fucking item. Fimbulwinter. It no longer consumes mana. That's really good. It's a really good buff to it. Still not a good item, though. Force of Nature. This item is simply too strong as a single item resist purchase. It can give you over 50% total damage reduction by itself. Excuse me. That is crazy. So, they're lowering the MR by 10, and it no longer multiplies your magic damage reduction, which is fine. It now just gives 30 bonus MR, which is cool. So, slightly worse. Gore Drinker. This item is crazy. But anti-heal kind of kills it. So, Gore Drinker is already reasonably powerful if you're against bad people who don't build anti-heal, yes. It's still lagging behind Sunderer, but they just nerfed Sunderer. So not only are they nerfing Sunderer, they're buffing Gore Drinker. Honestly, I'm down for the changes. So, they're reducing the gold, and they're increasing the bonus health you get from the mythic passive. Honestly, it's just a small adjustment. That's fine. Ceaseless Hunger, same thing. Hullbreaker. Hullbreaker is a very unique item. This item is extremely niche, and is used, again, by extremely niche characters. Yorick, Tryndamere, I don't really know who else. But, it's definitely... Oh, Scion. How could I forget Scion? Scion. But I don't know if it's good. I feel like it's kind of just been stagnant. I feel like you don't really feel its effects. It suffers from the same thing that I said Moonstone did, where it does its thing, but you don't notice what it's doing. The biggest thing you notice with this thing is that it buffs the big minion. But even then, it just becomes bigger and there's a little visual around it. You don't really see the difference, though. I'll take that back. You do see how tanky it is. It is tankier. But anyway, I hope they buff it. Hullbreaker is mostly unused item that is sitting alone in the shop ledger shelf unless a stray Yorick decides to pick it up. Wow. We're trying a light reshape and significant buff to the item. Wow. What are they doing? It now... Okay, hold on. They're saying a significant buff. 10 AD is pretty good if the cost isn't changing. But, like, come on. 5 move speed, 5% move speed, and 10 AD more. That's a significant buff. That's a champion balance. That's a small champion balance. Granted, the 5% move speed does matter, but... I don't agree with them. It's not as big as they think. Okay, Lord Doms. What is Lord Doms doing? I honestly don't know what they're going to do to this item. Maybe they're going to nerf it to, like, you know, have Jinsos look better with its penetration, but who knows. Lord Dominix now multiplies magic damage through its passive effect, which just makes it feel a bit better for crit users who happen to have some magic damage on their kits or items. Lord Dom sends his regards. So, physical and magic damage based on maximum health difference. Oh, so it's both. Oh, so no longer is it just physical. It's basically all damage. You deal all damage more if they have more health than you. So it's a buff for Kog'Maw. It's a buff for Kog'Maw. Holy shit, that's good. Okay, cool. Lost Chapter. What are they doing to this item? So, we're aiming to help mages with early power spike in their landing phase to keep up with the opposition in solo queue. I feel like mages do not need any help. If anything, they need a nerf. We want to acknowledge that some risk to this change given mages already tend to be the top performers in pro play. So what are they doing? So Lost Chapter itself is getting cheaper, but Ludens is still retaining the same cost. So this is a buff. Why would they do this? I don't understand why they would do this. I actually know why they would do this. It's to help people who are casuals. The pros don't have an issue with mana, because obviously they can last hit, they know how to manage their resources. The people who don't know how to play the game don't know how to manage their resources. How do you help them without buffing every fucking champion? Buff Lost Chapter to be cheaper so they could get it earlier so they don't have mana problems for that much longer. League is just becoming more casual, man. This is so stupid. Maw of Malmortius. Slight gold nerf. They increase the lifeline cooldown, and the duration of the shield is going down to about half. This item is gutted. Wow. Rabadon's Death Cap is getting a slight buff, 35 to 40. Let's go, Vhagar stronger. Steric's Gauge. Steric's Gauge should be an essential item for Juggernauts and other fighter frontlines. It struggled to fill that role. Yeah, you know why? It struggled to fill that role because it's only good with Sheen users. Anyway, when Lifeline triggers, the user will also gain 25% increased size and 30% increased tenacity. The size doesn't really matter. The tenacity definitely does. So that's pretty good. Let me see what they say about Rabadon's. I'm curious. So Rabadon's is a bit underpowered despite it being such a key item. Mages should feel like this is a very powerful choice in most games. Even in relatively short games when they're doing well. Huh. Crazy. Anyway. Stridebreaker, its damage is going up. Cool. Dream Shatter. Wow. Dude, the names are just so cool. Trinity Force. So, what are they doing to Trinity? We're buffing Trinity Force to better match Sunderer and adding a quality of life buff to threefold strike to match Conqueror's duration. And limit how many things you have to track. So, the trigger conditions aren't quite the same, but they should line up fairly often now. So, the duration lasts for 2 seconds longer, which is a very big buff. The AD is going up, which is good, and the attack speed is going up, which is good. Holy shit, Try got buffed. Wow. Why for everything else? For supports, like, they took away the AD item choices and they gave it to supports, and instead of raising everything up, they nerfed everything down except for like all the fighter options. I feel like they're doing things they should have done for other classes to the wrong classes. Like, this should not have been done to fighters. This should have been done to supports. What should have been done to ADCs should have been done to fighters. This is so, I don't know. This is so weird. Anyway. Triforce to Infinity Force, same shit. Cool. And finally, the early game adjustments. So, in the mid-season patch, we'll also be making some pretty large changes with the goal of making the laning phase more about victories over your direct laner and less about external influences like junglers and roaming. Especially in the early parts of the game, so if you get level 2 fucking ganked. We still want roaming to be a powerful strategy, but currently the best way to play the game is finding ways to quickly snowball other lanes rather than decisive 1v1s or 2v2s. That's true. These changes should make the two strategies more equally rewarding. So how do they do this? So, mana was a way to gate early wave clear for casters. With League's current roster of diverse champions, wave clear is a lot more common, and we have mana more resourceless champs. I don't know how I'm supposed to say that, but being forced to base already feels a bit sad as you take yourself out of the action, but waiting at full health as your mana pool slowly creeps up adds salt to the wound. So they're equalizing the play field, and mana and non-mana users basically regen it quickly. So, it's going up. Cool. I feel like this is more of a quality of life change, but I guess still appreciated. Home Guard. Okay, back in the olden days of League, my day, 20 minutes was the end of laning phase. That's true, because that's when you got Home Guards. The game has gone a bit faster, unfortunately, for ADCs, and we're lining up the start of Home Guards with tower plates falling. We'll be keeping an eye out for how this affects wave pushing and basing strategies, but for now, get excited to see those sweet Home Guard animations a bit earlier. Wait, so this is making the game even faster? Wait, what the fuck? This is the opposite of good. Everything in this patch is either like scary for ADCs in terms of them adding AP ratios and then in terms of them changing the items, and now in terms of them making the game even faster? Are you kidding me? This is insane. This is actually fucking crazy. Holy shit. Anyway, Blast Cone spawn time. As another way to reduce early roaming and ganking Okay, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense here. They're saying they want to reduce early roaming, especially really early, right? What is really early to them? The first 5 fucking minutes? Like, you're giving home guards to people earlier. Mid laners are just gonna use home guards to just lane gank someone. Like, what? Laning phase is gonna end even earlier now. What the hell? And then Blast Cone spawns later. Okay, so that's actually a good change. Blast Cone spawning later is a good change. Although it's a little bit strange though, because I did feel like Blast Cone added a very good depth of skill. It was a very good mechanic to like, oh, I'm in bot lane, right? The jungler's ganking me, I'm running, he flashes, he chases after me. I could use the Blast Cone to get away. I actually like the Blast Cone being there. It definitely provides like more gameplay options, which I think are fun. I think they're fun and they're hype. Like, oh no, I'm getting chased on bot eye. All I gotta do is just get to the Blast Cone. It's very similar to like Dio in the hit show JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when he was trying to get to the sewer. I won't say more than that for spoiler reasons, but it's very similar to that. Like, as Dio said, all I need to do is get to that place, and then the Joestar family line will be done. And look how that ended out. But anyway, holy Jesus, look at all this text. Oh my dear God. The first major change for minions is adjusting the speed of minion waves. Mid lane minion waves have always met first, meaning that mid laners can clear the wave and look for ganks and roams while the side lanes basically have to eat shit. Due to this wave offset, mid laners don't have to risk much for high pressure plays. That's true. Literally, that's one of the biggest reasons why Asol was so good pre-rework. He would clear the wave before everyone else was even doing anything, and he would just roam and win everyone else's lane for himself and them. So what they're saying is definitely true here, but I want to see where they're going with this. So, timing the waves more closely will put more pressure on mid laners who want to roam. Good. Keep them in their fucking lanes. Anyway, the other minion change will be adjusting how minions act near towers. Building up a large minion wave and pushing it into an enemy tower is one of the most powerful strategic moves in the game. Now, I agree with this, but it's also one of the hardest things to do. A lot of people in League, aside from barring like high elo people, and even some of them don't even know that either. This patch is so long. I mean, it's the mid-season patch, man. What do you expect? But anyway, it's like in similar scope to freaking preseason, honestly. Mid-season and preseason are always the longest patches. But anyway, I mean, trust me, I'm definitely feeling the drag of this. But anyway, a lot of people in the game do not know how to do wave management properly, and they honestly don't know what to do with minions. So like, a lot of the time, even though it is a very powerful strategy, it's a strategy not many players can utilize, at least effectively. So I'm curious again to see what they're going to do with this. So let's see. It opens up a ton of options, and any successful play denies massive amounts of experience and gold. Yes, it does. They're true here. While winning lane states should be rewarded heavily, we think the rewards for such plays are a bit too high for how consistent the strategy is. Pick a winning lane, slow push the wave. We're making tower dives a bit more risky and making it so that minions will not switch their target from a tower once they've damaged it. This means that while trying to orchestrate a tower dive, you'll need to do so without the help of ally minion damage, which should mean you need to be in the stronger winning position. Wait a minute. So if the minions start autoing the tower, they won't stop. That's insane. This is something that's very important for the early game. They really don't want to like have people in the early game diving you or roaming, which honestly, as an ADC player, I like. This should be specifically the jungler's job, or very specifically certain mid laners jobs. So who do I mean by certain? Anyone who builds Yomus can and should roam. Anyone who doesn't build Yomus should not roam. And if you're getting tower dived, they really got to play it well. And this is where I'll show you this. Or not I'll show you this, but I'll explain this, right? This might seem like a nonsense change. However, people really underestimate how much effect minions have on the early game. In the early game, minions have such a high effect. If they attack you, they are sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of the time, the deciding factor between winning and losing trades or dying, honestly. Because they do so much damage early and you're so like weak early, you're so like frail early, comparatively to late. So honestly, I honestly agree with everything Riot says here. I don't know if this is a good change. I personally like it. I don't know if it's good. But aren't early tower dives hard already unless you have LCS coordination? You would think so, but the problem is if the enemy is coordinated and you're coordinated, yes, but what ends up happening is the enemy is uncoordinated and your team is uncoordinated. So the tower dive looks like a fucking clown show, but honestly, it's not as hard as you think. As long as the person doing the dive knows how to do it, if you're like, they don't even need help. That's the thing. If the person diving knows how to dive correctly, they do not need help to do it effectively. Now, they might need some help because now they're not going to have the minions. And I'm telling you, the minions actually do matter. At least early. At least early. So, this is pretty big. This is pretty fucking big. The minions do a lot of damage. do. Anyway, so let's see the actual rates of what they're doing. So, except for the first spawn of minions, mid lane minions will now meet at the same time as side lanes. So side lanes are now sped up. This falls off after 14 minutes. Oh, what the fuck? So who cares? This is only for early game. And then tunnel vision. Minions that are currently attacking enemy tower will ignore call for help signals to target enemy champions. Wow. This seems like a nerf to LPL and those other really competitive leagues, not NA though. Oh, you know it. You know it. Yo, they gotta help NA win world somehow. This is how. Sleeper changes. Okay, turret. Given we're re-adding some hybrid builds to the game, we're also removing one of the major and unintended downsides to hybrid builds. So, champion base AD plus whichever was higher, bonus AD or 60% of AP would basically apply to your tower damage. Now, it's total AD, not bonus. So basically, what does this mean? It means AD. It means attack damage is better at taking down towers. So that's that. Okay, turret plating. What do we think about turret plating? It gives a lot of fucking gold. I honestly could see them. See, I don't know. They're doing things to delay the early game to make the early game more like individual, but at the same time, they're speeding up League in general. They're doing a lot of low key sleeper changes to speed up League even more. Like they're letting you build IE first. They're making support items cheaper across the board. Like a lot of these changes are going to speed up the game. So build AD on Syndra now. Exactly. That's why NA doesn't win worlds, man. This is how we think. Anyway, we've all been in this situation where a single gank, Rift Herald, or bad mistake costs 2 to 3 tower plates. That's true. Snowballing the lane out of control. These scenarios are important as individual wins, but we think they have gone a bit too far. The following change means that subsequent plates are much harder to take, especially with multiple enemies around. This shouldn't affect how small wins where one plate is taken, like roams or a single death, but should help you avoid losing your entire tower to a single push or rotation. So I actually agree with this fully. I felt sometimes really bad for backing in lane because the enemy, just from me backing, would get like 2 plates. They'd be like guaranteed 2 plates. And I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't die, I didn't get ganked, I'm just backing. They hard push the wave because everyone has wave clear. And now static is coming back, so everyone really has wave clear now. So honestly, I agree with this change too. This is good. So, plate rushdown. So 20 seconds after taking a plate is now based on number of oh my god. Damn, yo. It gains a shit ton of resistance. Okay, damn. So, unleash teleport. The other changes in this patch help side laners 1v1 a lot more. For top laners, this is the dream, but also a nightmare, as oftentimes their 1v1s have little impact on the early part of the game. We're dialing back the Unleashed teleport timer so that top laners can impact the second dragon, giving them a bit more agency in the early game. Dude, they're just speeding up the game. Again. I don't like this. This is not good. I honestly think this is not good. They're making League more casual, and they're making it more quick. They're making it closer to the fucking phone game. What the fuck? Anyway, so it's going from 14 minutes to 10 minutes, which is a huge buff. Huge fucking buff. And the cooldown is now increased early to kind of compensate. But the fact that you could do it at all, people are going to save their TP for that dragon fight. This is very heavily going to affect pro play. I guarantee it. Anyway, that's kind of crazy though. Yeah, the game is just getting sped up. Holy fucking Jesus, there's still more. Jesus fucking Christ, what the fuck? We haven't made any major changes to trinkets for a while, so we want to help them feel seen. The goal is to make them more usable and intuitive, as well as keep up with the modern standards of League. I have no clue what that means. We're happy with Stealth Trinket, but both Farsight and Oracles have been needed for room to improve. For example, Oracles can be very punishing when activated at the wrong timing and location, as it should be. They've added another charge to make it more forgiving. Farsight is undervalued even though they have unique range advantage, so we're adding pings and another scryer to help connect their Wait, what? Farsight will now provide vision over walls. That's crazy. Farsight will now ping enemy champions. That's useless. And then upon detecting an enemy champion for the first time, Farsight will ping the enemy champion on the minimap, expand its vision, and then self-destruct. That's a nerf. If the enemy champion didn't notice it, it would just stay there. Why is it going to self-destruct? This is useless. What the hell? This is ass. I don't like that. Oracle Lens. If the owner of Oracle Lens is actively hitting a ward, their team will now gain vision of the ward. Oh, thank the fucking Lord. That is such a good change. 2 seconds of vision will be granted since the last hit before Oracle ran out. That's good. So, Oracle Lens will now have 2 charges. That's fucking OP. Vision is going to get ham-fisted now. And then the recharge timer is a little longer to compensate, which makes sense. And the duration is way lower, which I feel like makes it a little bit less forgiving. I feel like this increases the frustration of it, because now, what feels better, right? Using it once for 10 seconds and getting everything, or using it once for 6 seconds, missing something, and then having to use your second charge, which you're going to have to wait longer for now. I feel like the second one is more frustrating when you mess up, so it's a buff if you use it correctly, but if you fuck up, it feels even worse now. ARAM adjustments. I am not reading these even though I play ARAM. Mythic shop adjustments. No one cares. Bug fixes. There's too many here to care about. I saw... Skin bug fixes. No one cares. And finally, the upcoming skins. So, we have Snow Moon Ahri, Snow Moon Morgana, and Snow Moon Varus. Does Ahri deserve a skin? No. Does Morgana deserve a skin? No. Does Varus deserve a skin? Yeah. I'm not going to waste time looking them up because this patch notes went way too long already. Like I said, it was going to be a 2-hour slugfest. We're right at 2 hours. Anyway, and I don't think any of these skins are legendary, so that means they don't really matter to me. And here are the chromas. Cool. Probably great skins, especially the Snow Moon Ahri one. The Snow Moon Ahri one looks kind of crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's basically it. Very, very, very meaty patch. Now, what am I going to rate this? Also, maybe I should do TFT patch notes if I really get into it. Let me see. Do they do, like, crazy things here? Not really. TFT patch notes are kind of, like, really quick and, like, really, yeah, I'm not going to go. Anyway, yeah, so what are we going to rate this patch? So, looking at it holistically, did they change things? Yes, they did. For a mid-season patch, they are changing things, and ironically enough, they're changing things specific to me. Support and ADC. Now, are the changes good? leaning on I don't know, but I'm leaning to these are bad changes. I kept saying it, I'm going to repeat it here. The game is getting more casual. The game is speeding up, it's getting more casual, and ADC specifically has lost a lot of their options in terms of what they can have holistically. At the end of the game, what can an ADC have altogether? Before this patch, they can have Gale Force, they can have crit damage, they can have well, you know, if they have crit damage, they can't go Jin. But they can choose between things. They can have Gale Force and Jinsos, Gale Force and crit damage. They can have a lot of different things. Now, there's a lot more restriction on what build you are going with ADC. That might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing. It might be a good thing that you could build IE earlier, right? Maybe I'm overreacting with you losing like some of these items because again, some of them are becoming legendaries, although they are a little bit worse. But my biggest concern is making IE a mythic. This is the thing I don't understand. For the fighter items, right? Look at Trinity. Trinity got Giga buffed, right? Trinity got like Omega buffed. What happened to IE? All that they did was they made it so you could build it first and get the crit thing first, but they essentially changed nothing with this item. They didn't change the cost, they didn't change the build path, they didn't change the AD, they didn't change the crit damage, they didn't change the critical strike damage. So it's like, this item is the same, it's just technically worse now because you have to build it as a mythic. And restrict your options now because other items that you would want to build with it, that you used to build with it, are still mythics like Gale Force. So, and then they're adding like the AP things on the ADs. That's honestly the one where we have to see. Like we have to see if the AD like AP values are like okay. I think they're gonna be okay personally, but I'm a little scared. Mostly just because of the community, just because you know we're gonna have people trolling us. But everything else, I don't know. I don't feel excited about these changes. Even with static. Like, I was excited about static. But fucking static isn't even like what I wanted it to be. I don't think static is good. Static seems to be a wave clear item which you don't really need. And it can't even crit. It's not as good as old static. I don't know, man. A lot of things in this thing, they're changes. But I'm getting a bad feeling about this. So honestly, I'm gonna rate this relatively high for what I actually want to rate it, but it's still gonna seem pretty low. I'm gonna rate this patch 4 out of 10 Mark Merrill. For the pure fact that like, this is scary, these changes are weird, and I really don't know. I really don't know. These are some weird ass fucking changes. Like, these are really scary. I don't know. We gotta see though. I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but things are not looking good for the future. At the very least, the game is speeding up. Home guards at 14 minutes, support items are cheaper, they do less damage, right? So it's like, I don't know. Things are very weird. I don't feel good about this patch. 4 out of 10 Mark Merrills. So if you made it to the end of this 2 hour and 8 minute video, Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ, thank you. But I hope you enjoyed. I'm exhausted and I haven't played any games yet today, and the day's basically over. But we're gonna do this again in 2 weeks, and I hope everyone enjoyed 4 out of 10 Mark Merrills. Remember, I do this live at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel. I'm doing it live now. You can come in Twitch chat, interact with me, and you know, if you're lonely, I'm always here, like every day. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed. See you in 2 weeks. I hope this patch doesn't ruin League.